Yeah. So, I know you started the energetic horsemanship because a lot of people come through the school, and through the process of going through the school, they get to communicate with horses that, they may never have experienced a relationship with a horse or interactions with a horse. They do through the school, because obviously that's part of the case study load, is that we talk to all sorts of animals. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone wants to work with horses. And it's the course, I think, is so it's lovely, because it takes you right back to, let's look at the history of horses, right? Let's look at who are horses and how did they come into our lives as humans, right? Because that informs some of the relationship stuff. But then also, how do we keep ourselves safe around them? How do we understand them? A horse is a prey animal. They're going to be very different from a dog, right? Who has a different kind of dynamic with humans. So understanding the physiology of horses, understanding the behavior of horses, the herd instinct, their energetic sensitivity, and just how well attuned they are to the world around them. And then being able to go in and actually experience things, like we put them in experiences where, they get to be a horse, or they get to feel how their energy impacts the dynamic, or they get to observe the different ways that horses move, right? And so they can start extrapolating all of that information. So when they're talking to a horse and they realize, in my medical intuition, I noticed that there was this compensatory gait thing, right? Or I noticed this behavior thing. They have a much better perspective. And also, which is really important, they understand how to keep themselves safe in physical relationship with those horses, which is so important, because it's very
They know
easy.
how to keep themselves safe, and in doing so, they're keeping the animal safe.
Very much so. And that builds credibility, right? Because when you understand how these animals move in the world, right, and how they relate to each other and to humans, you can keep yourself safe, you can keep them safe, you can refer to different parts of their anatomy accurately, right? All of that is going to give you a client comfort. It's going to help your client know, okay, I can trust every part of this, not just the communication or not just the energy work.
Well, and it also, I think that, what you were saying about companion animals and wild animals, I think there's two steps in between, and that's domestic and feral. And
Yeah.
horses kind of fall into all those three categories.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of move between companion, domestic, feral. Sometimes I'm companion, sometimes I'm feral, or I'm domestic, right? Like, so it's interesting to understand that helps
Yeah.
us understand even a little more who we are and where we are a little feral or not enough. Or, and it's a big canvas for really what we also still deal with dogs and cats, because dogs and cats just by nature in our world are they fall between being predator or prey. I mean, if my cat sees a mouse, it's the predator, but if my cat encounters a hawk, it's prey. And my dog sees a wolf, a cougar, it's prey. If my dog sees a bunny, it's predator. So dogs and cats move through the world in a way that almost nobody else does. And so horses really give us that screenshot of something very primal.
100%. I mean, just remember the first time we did energetic horsemanship, right? I think Selena hadn't been peopling for very long, right?
No,
And it was so great to see the instinctual behaviors. And then alongside of Jakar, who has been peopling for a long time, to see those instinctual behaviors come to the fore very, very quickly, right? And
yeah,
so to realize, that these are animals who are massive athletes. They're big. They can turn on a dime, and instinct will come forward
It comes first.
always. Yep.
And it's they're going to do whatever they can to survive, and they might take you out in the way.
Yep.
And if
Yep.
so, if you don't have good spidey sense of what's around you,
Mm-hmm.
you're,
Yep.
yeah, you're toast.
Yeah.
You're hurt. You're at urgent care if you're lucky.
You're lucky. Exactly. So, and also, they have the ability to be magically gentle and you know, deeply
100%.
energetically sensitive,
And it's funny because Felina is still has those instincts of like, ooh. But would be in my pocket if she could be.
Yeah.
So I just got back from a trip and she's like, what are you doing? Like like
Students,
she
I love it.
cannot get enough of me. It's
Yeah.
like, I'll be back down. I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And then you look at somebody like Pegasus, right? And he looks like so like just chill, but he's got that cheekiness to him.
he is so funny. But we won't say any more because hopefully you're going to come to Energetic Horsemanship and you'll experience it yourself.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that people walk away from in that class, not only do they walk away with a lot of knowledge, but they walk away with a sense of empowerment
Mm,
that they didn't have before. When you can connect with an animal like Drakkar, this big, powerful, manly horse, right?
sexy
And
beast.
he's a sexy beast for sure, right? But then you can partner with him to walk through a labyrinth, right? And make tight turns and move and shift. And I mean, we've seen people who started off the class afraid of horses,
Yeah.
right? Who came because they were like, I'm afraid of horses, and I know that as a communicator, I'm going to have to work with them. So this is going to help me, kind of exposure therapy. But they walked away with a sense of empowerment and connection and confidence that you cannot get just learning stuff online or learning through a book. You
Or
have to
talking to
have
a
an
horse on
experience.
Zoom.
Or
Yeah,
talking to a horse on Zoom. Yeah. You have to, or standing outside a stall talking to a horse. You have to have that one-on-one experience with them, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been so fun.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
all right.
I'm excited. I love, how long has the school been going now? This is the 18th year? Close on.
Yes. It's going
Yeah.
to be 20 years in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing. Like this this isn't a program that was just thought up and on the fly. This is a program that has stood the test of time and has evolved over time. And honestly, it's the Ivy League,
Hmm.
in my opinion, of animal communication programs. So, if you don't walk out of this program with some deep skills, some deep knowledge, some deep awareness and capability, then you're not going to get it anywhere else.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. And
yeah.
I like that you said that the test of time, it was 10 years. I had been teaching since 98. So I had been teaching for 10 years
Wow.
before I started the program. And it was like taking all the bits and pieces that I'd learned that I loved from
Mm-hmm.
learning and what I didn't feel like I got from learning and tried to create a big uh, shortcut with depth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shortcut in that, not a shortcut to the work, but just a shortcut into all the things that gave me a migraine.
Right. But this allows people to get a concentrated dose, you know, so they're not going to have
Yeah,
to go and dabble in 1,000 things.
no,
They can
it's
come
all
in,
right
get a
here.
concentrated dose, and then walk away. Like, and that's the other thing. I mean, like, how many other animal communication schools teach people like the business side of things?
Right.
That's important too, because it's all well and good being an animal communicator or a coach or whatever, but if you can't get out there and ask for the business, and that's something we've all struggled with, I think, but
Mhm.
and even now I'm getting better at it. It's kind of that constant, never-ending improvement, like, you know,
Yeah, we can all get better at it.
yeah, yeah. So and it's a great community. That's the other thing. It's like, I know that I can reach out to
Hmm.
the community, to the
Yeah,
students and grads, and I know that they're there. You know, it's it's the support we have for each other is really beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, thank you.
look at Elsa.
I know she's too much.
Oh, she's hilarious. I love her.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.